Well, a lot of the new revelations are pretty dark. And I would say that some of it, obviously, hearsay, many of the stuff in particular that the left is running with is purposely posted out of context. There's also stuff that is suspicious, even with context. But I've kind of dove through all of the biggest revelations so far this week. And I want to talk about some of the most bizarre, and questionable things from these files. Also, Melinda Gates, Bill Gates' wife, now calling out Bill to answer for, well, apparently hooking up with some ladies of the night and giving her some unknown disease, as well as some emails that are very curiously worded. A lot of what I'm going to talk about in this video, I'm going to just have to describe to you because I've tried to record it a million times, and it's picking up something. You know, the powers that be keep like trying to hide the video. I don't know what's going on, so make sure you leave a like on it if you can. I think this thing I can show for sure. Let's start with Bill Gates' ex-wife responding to this email that claims that Bill Gates caught an STD from a Russian girl and was going to slip her drugs. Listen to this.
The emails in the files suggest that Bill Gates had additional affairs and that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection, and that he was going to give you the medicine
without knowledge. Yeah.
His representative has said all of this is false. It is not on you to have to respond to the details.
Well, I mean, it's in the email. I'm not sure I would say that it's, undeniably false.
Of that alleged behavior, but I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles with these details.
Sad. Just unbelievable.
Can these people like turn down the gain on their microphones? Why is there all that background noise?
Sadness.
Isn't she a multi-billionaire?
Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, oh God, how did that happen to those girls, right?
Yeah,
and so
sure.
For me, it's just sadness for, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to leave.
Need to take half his money. Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
And if she goes on here to call for transparency and wants him to come out and speak about it. And it's very, very, very odd. The left, however, is, well, let's not bury the spicy stuff, but I'm going to take it off the screen because it's, I don't know. Every time I show this email, somebody's trying to keep it down. I wonder why. So there's one email exchange between Jeffrey and Oliver Collum. Now, who is Oliver Collum? Well, his current position is in charge of the G20 through G8 UN global affairs, including reform of global governance, climate change negotiations, development, and francophony. I don't even know what that is, or if I'm pronouncing that right. There is some interesting, hey Ruby, emails in which him and Jeffrey are exchanging. You tell me what you think they're talking about. You tell me you think, so he writes, I saw you send me an email with a file attached, but the IT guys at the bank blocked it for some security reason. I have a private email that can be used through blank, that's redacted. Besides, Ariane is in the Bordeaux vineyards until Wednesday. It looks like she has no phone or something with her. Sorry about that. Hope you're well. He says, Jeffrey replies, no problem. A friend that built the Beijing airport asked if I knew a bank that was interesting. I thought I'd run it by you if it were good for you. I'm not involved in any way, nor would I expect you to be. So then he says, where are you now? On my island in the Caribbean with an aquarium full of girls. Interesting. He writes, the king of Saudi Arabia has a few white sharks at his palace. I totally prefer yours, so I would enjoy the view. He replies, as to our Russian, I guess some might refer to them as white sharks. Then he says, as long as you don't have any hammerhead ones, I like white sharks. Jeffrey replies, no, some are like shrimp. You throw the head away and keep the body. Now, a lot of people are like, oh my God, that means there is a saying in Spain, and I don't know if this is just of Europe. In America, we call these women butterfaces. I'm not saying I agree with the term. I'm just saying, ugly face, great body. In Spain, they call them shrimps. And they'll say, remove the head, then bueno. I think that's what he's referring to. They have great bodies, but they're ugly. And then Oliver writes back, I like shrimp, but not so much if it's too pink. Although I'm definitely more into white than any other color. I like your philosophy. Jeffrey replies, I can't even think of the smell of black shrimp. Ugh. We are again in agreement. I'm not sure, what other conclusions could be drawn here. To me, when I read this, they're talking about humans. And of course, Oliver Cullum is a member of, you guess it, the World Economic Forum, or this is from the World Economic Forum. This current position is here. Very, very, very crazy. Also, listen to this. In another set of emails, which apparently every time I show them on the screen, YouTube freaks out. You'll have to take my word for it, but I've never led you astray before. Plus, these emails are everywhere all over the internet. Jeffrey was collaborating with Bitcoin developer and biohacker and transhumanist Brian Bishop to create, quote, the first live birth of a human designer baby and human cloning within 5 years. And he was conducting all of his initial experiments. What country do you think I'm about to say? What country do you think I'm about to say? Yeah, it's Ukraine. All the countries in the world, with all the countries in the world, somehow Ukraine is just always coming up. Isn't that odd? Quote, sounds like you could be the first investor as long as an absolute anonymity is kept. I have always envisioned that there would be anonymity requirements about babies. We can't publicly identify those with these are who their parents or benefactors. It would brand the child essentially and sadly a freak for life in the media. So I always assumed the investor would need absolute anonymity for these kinds of products. The kid is the product. So the financial structure needs to be designed with these details in mind. This gets us out of the self-funded garage biology phase to the first live birth of a human designer baby and possibly a human clone within 5 years. Once we reach the first birth, everything changes and the world will never be the same again, much less the future of the human species. Also interesting, in another email, he talks about with a Harvard staff member. Let me bring this email up. This is probably the one that triggered everything. Jeffrey spoke to a Harvard scientist about the bedroom benefits of transing a kid, and specifically as young as 3. And the big takeaway in this email from Robert Trivers to Jeffrey, which was sent on Monday, December 17th, 2018, at the end of it, he wrote, by the way, we are now pushing the intervention earlier. They're talking about puberty blockers and this, that, and the other stuff. We're now pushing the intervention earlier. So you notice your 3-year-old son has trans tendencies. So now you could intervene with hormones at 3. At 3 years old. And the rest of the stuff in this email is just so degenerate and gross that I can't talk about it. Then there is another story. This is perhaps the most disheartening of when apparently someone who was very young had a child. It's not really alleged if it's Jeffrey's or not, but she was 16 or 17, things like that, and referred to herself as a human birth incubator and had her baby snatched away at birth by Ghislaine Maxwell. I am beyond broken, she wrote in a journal. I only got 10 to 15 minutes to hold and feed her before they took her. She is mine. I want her back. The entry also included an image of a 20-week pregnancy scan, went on to suggest that Ghislaine had been there at the time of birth. Quote, in the hall, Ghislaine said she was beautiful. She was, not is. Where is she? Why did she stop whimpering? She was born. I heard tiny cries. Elsewhere, she described Jeffrey as saying he wanted to create a superior gene pool and the perfect offspring. Now, this ties into the emails that he was sending. I missed the person I was before I was made to feel like a human incubator. Superior gene pool. Why me? It makes no sense. Why my hair color? Why my eye color? You know, what's curious is then, is this Jeffrey's kid? And there's also many other questions about potential, bodies buried in the desert and all sorts of stuff like that. But this guy was into a wide variety of deeper stuff than we're ever going to know. And he was talking about it in openly coded language, just in the same way of the old pizza conversations. And it seems like that stuff is getting a lot more credence. I hope you were informed by this video. If you were, please do leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.